Hi, I'm Tim Roehl. Let's talk about strategic planning for your ministry. Now, as you do that, it's important to remember that having a ministry flow chart and a ministry timeline are very important because they help you be intentional and systematic in the way you go about activating your game plan. There's a difference between a ministry flow chart and a ministry timeline. A ministry flow chart is a coordinated pathway that starts with someone who doesn't know Jesus yet out in your mission field, your community, and shows the progression one step at a time all the way through to them becoming a reproducing disciple and you becoming a reproducing and multiplying ministry. It shows the flow from redemptive bridges you've built to the community to connecting those people to life in Christ, to fellowship and life in the family of God at your church, to helping them find their sweet spot in ministry, and finally results in multiplying more disciples, more leaders, more ministries, and more churches. Now, a ministry timeline is a series of actions that leads to accomplishing a specific goal that coordinates people and resources and activities. I'd like to spend some time especially talking about a ministry timeline, but when you look at a ministry flow chart, as I coach leaders, the two biggest areas that I find where there's gaps or there's disconnects are the ways the church builds redemptive bridges out into the community, not just getting them to come into the church, but the ways that we go out to them. And then once they've come to meet Christ and begun to be a part of the church, the other big gap I often find is churches helping those Christians now find out their spiritual gifts and passions so they can help them find their place in ministry, their sweet spot in ministry. Pay attention to those gaps in yours. Now, when we talk about a ministry timeline, I want to give you 7 simple steps that will help you do that. Now, if you're a big picture person, you go, oh man, I don't want to spend all that time trying to figure that stuff out. Make sure you've got people with you who are good systems thinkers and detail-oriented people on your team, and then this becomes doable. So number 1, begin with the end in mind. Start with what your goal is and work backward from your goal. Number 2, determine what is needed to meet that goal, the resources, the people, and the activities. Number 3, put each action that you're going to take, each step you're going to take towards that goal on a Post-it note. Each Post-it note should have what, who, and when written on it, and do it in past tense, as in equipment purchased or team organized. That is a statement that says the goal has been accomplished at that step. Number 4, delegate activities to your team. You can't do everything. There's some things that other people are much better at than you are. So try and help delegate tasks to people where they are really good. In other words, what fits their sweet spot. Number 5, sequence and calendar the checkpoints. So put everything on a calendar and begin to put those Post-it notes in sequence where they belong towards reaching our goal. You might have certain things in this month and certain things in this month, but it just lays it out for you so that you can see how you're doing according to the timeline. Number 6 is look for bottlenecks and disconnects. What I mean by a bottleneck is where something might get hindered because it's too much flowing through one person, or you have determined something is going to hinder the flow of activity towards that goal. A disconnect is any activity that doesn't fit the overall goal. And so don't be afraid to move those Post-it notes around to make sure that you have created a flow to ministry, a timeline to your ministry that makes sense. And finally, act. Go do it and adjust as you go along the way. As you look at how to develop a good ministry timeline, it makes large tasks much more doable because you're breaking them down into sequential steps that allows you to take step-by-step action towards your goal. So, a good ministry flow chart, a good ministry timeline helps you be intentional and systematic in how you go about implementing your game plan.